It takes forever. Oh, hey everybody, guess what? We're live. We're so excited. We've got something really exciting to talk about. Look at this. Look at this. Jersey Boys, Studio 10. Patrick Cassidy is here to tell us all about it. How's it
Yes.
going this morning?
Oh my God. Good. Good. A little rainy this morning here in Middle Tennessee, or at least here in Franklin and Williamson County.
Oh yeah.
But I love the rain. I have to say, I must confess, people don't like the sort of gray dreariness. I actually live for it because it's so different than the constant in California, which
Oh
you get
really?
very bored
Okay.
with. So I like the seasonal thing.
I'm not a fan of the rain. I'm going to be honest. I'm not a fan, but that's okay. I'll let you have that. You can have the rain.
Okay.
Let's talk about the season closer, Studio 10, Jersey Boys. It's kind of a full circle moment for Studio 10, isn't it?
Well, it is in terms of this season being the 15th year anniversary of Studio 10. One of the things I wanted to happen was I wanted to invite people that had been part of those 15 years, even prior to me coming that. And that, of course, includes Matt Logan, who is the original artistic director and one of the founders, and Jake Speck, who was a sort of co-founder and the original managing director. So I brought them both back. I did with Matt actually a little last year. He did design some sets and costumes, but this year I brought him back not just for that, but to direct, and he did a masterful job with The Play That Goes Wrong. And of course, the same thing with Jake. Jake had done Jersey Boys in New York for I think 4 years, also on the road. His wife Emily had been a huge part of that. Had been a big part of their marriage and their courtship and everything. And so we brought her in to choreograph. So, and then of course, Denise Hicks, who retired from the Nashville Shakespeare, I brought her in to do Crimes of the Heart. So it was really about incorporating the theater people who have been here longer than me, not just connected to Studio 10, but throughout, to celebrate 15 years. 15 years of Studio 10, 15 years of the theater being in this community. And Jake and Emily did a spectacular job with Jersey Boys. I mean, Jake obviously knew it. He knew every line. He knew every
Right.
scene. And of course, we brought in 4 seasons. The title of their group, including our Frankie Valli and the rest of them, all of which Jake knew. And it was easy to go out and get them. And they auditioned for me so I could see them. And each one of them so special, so amazing in the show. And then, of course, the rest of the cast is everyone from Tennessee and equally as incredible in the show. It was the perfect show to end the season with. I like to end the season with a big sort of splash finale musical. Last year it was Cabaret.
Yeah.
Next year it's Jesus Christ Superstar, and this year it's Jersey Boys. And so one of the trivia tidbits about Jersey Boys, I think it's the 11th or 12th biggest selling show in Broadway history. So
Really?
yeah, so
I don't think I realized that. I was doing some research about it. It's kind of one of the first, what they call jukebox musicals, right? Isn't it for one of the very first that came out?
well, yes and no. I will say this. I'm very proud of this. Not too many know. I actually did, as a performer, the very first jukebox musical. And it was, if you don't count Ain't Misbehavin', which was the music of Fats Waller. But when you take a catalog of pop rock songs from an artist, that sort of describes a jukebox musical. Well, I did Leader of the Pack, which was the music of Ellie Greenwich and Jeff Barry, Do Wah Diddy, Leader of the Pack, Be My Baby, all those songs. And we were killed by the critics, them saying, this was in 1985, this is not a musical, how can
Oh,
you
really?
take existing songs and put it with, now granted, we had a very thin script. It wasn't a very great book that went with those great songs. But after that, 3 months later, the Buddy Holly musical, again, jukebox music opened, and it got raves. So we know that the format works, but in my humble opinion, Jersey Boys is the best and top level example of the jukebox musical. It's got
Yeah.
a script that is incredible, and just structure wise, you don't get to the first big hit of the 4 seasons till about 35 minutes into the show, and that's Sherry. And the
Yeah.
reason being is that they establish all the characters, they
Mhm.
establish the story, which is a great story,
It
true
is a good.
true story. So by the time you get to all their hits, you're in love with them already. right?
Mhm.
So, and that just sort of takes it to another level. And it's an amazingly cinematic show in the sense of how fast it moves. They go from location in and out, furniture coming on choreographically, going off at the same time, going into the performance aspect, unlike the Ed Sullivan Show or the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So it's a brilliantly conceived and structured musical.
Yes. And I think what is interesting is that the further you go into the show and the more of their hits that you hear, you've heard so many of those songs redone and you forget that those were their original songs.
Oh yeah, yeah, and the whole, and it's shown in the show, the whole partnership with Frankie Valli and Bob Gaudia was based on a handshake.
Yeah.
Not any papers drawn up, and to this day they are the two surviving members from the original group. In fact, Bob, who lives in Nashville, is coming to see the show. Um,
Really?
oh yeah, but he wrote all the songs, and of course, and he wrote for Frankie's incredible voice, and that partnership lasted not just through all those hits, but to their relationship even today. And yeah, it's a magnificent catalog that a lot of people forget just how many hit songs that are so familiar that they get to hear when they see it.
So how do you feel about Bob coming to the show? More pressure or
Well, yeah, I mean, you of course you want him to love it and like it. And his daughter came opening night, and then she came the very next night because she
oh,
loved it so much. She is sort of the keeper of the flame of all the productions that are done all over the place. She goes and visits and sees them all, and she was over the moon with it. So I said, I'm anticipating. Hopefully, he'll like it, and yeah, very excited to meet him in person.
yeah. It is it does go by fast. I feel like, it's a little over 2 hours. But it felt like it went really fast because, like you said, it keeps moving. The music, when you hear it, you're like, "What? I didn't realize that was their song."
Yeah, I mean, walk like a man. Can't take my eyes off of you. My eyes adore you. I mean, you know, you're talking about major hit records, and of course, we have an incredible band on the stage, and the harmonies, with those harmonies that they worked out, as they said, they developed their own sound way before the Bee Gees. They developed their own sound. Um, and Russell Fisher, who plays Frankie Valli, has such a demanding part, so much singing at the top of his range all night. He does a masterful job, and that goes for the other guys too. They're all so wonderful in their roles.
Yeah, you pay the cast is excellent. I mean, I can't imagine picking anyone else better to perform this here. I mean, I can't say enough about it. It was incredible.
Yeah, we've had a blessed season. It sort of started. It started high and just kept climbing, record breaking in terms of box office. The most successful box office show in history was Million Dollar Quartet Christmas, and I think that was a direct connection to the original first one we did at the opening of the theater last season. Brought the same guys back. They were like sort of mini stars there. That led into the most successful play in the history of our company, and that was The Play That Goes Wrong. So the high level of excitement going into Jersey Boys, which I think is just taking it up another level, has been incredibly profitable for us, not just financially, but just in terms of the community getting to know and embracing Studio 10 and more people getting on board. We couldn't be happier. The whole board, the staff, all of us. So
I think it's great that Jake was there. You could tell that he was very familiar with it because the whole thing was very, I felt like it didn't feel clunky. Sometimes when shows open the first couple of nights, it feels like, okay, everybody's trying to get their bearings, but this didn't feel like this at all. It felt like you guys have been doing it for months. It was incredible.
it's also by far the most difficult tech show I think we'll ever do. To do this show in 2.5 weeks, which is all we have, including the tech, is really impossible if you don't have people like Jake and those four guys that have done it before. Because just the harmonies alone, teaching that would take a week. Just that, and not to mention choreography and all the choreography of bringing the furniture on and off. That's all choreographed. It goes like this, location to location to location. That's why it's so much like a movie, right? That would take so much time. And then the tech element, the lighting. There are 200 lighting cues in the first act alone, right?
Wow.
So that with the sound, the balance of the sound, the band being on stage, the set, which was all conceived and constructed in steel, and then costumes. There are 180 costumes in the show.
Wow.
Because the ensemble all plays multiple characters. The 3 women in the show, you think like there's 20 women in the show.
Yeah.
They play. So all of that, putting it together to come together as one piece in essentially 4 days of tech and 2.5 weeks overall is a monstrous undertaking. And again, because of the experience and people knew their stuff, we managed to do it. But it was a big lift.
Well, let's talk about tickets. You mentioned it a couple of times. You said you've added a couple shows.
Yep.
Because tickets are going fast. So let's tell everybody.
Last night we had our first Tuesday night show performance in the history of the company. We added last night and we added next Tuesday because tickets are so scarce. You can't get to great seats for any performance. So we added that. We sold over 260 seats last night, first Tuesday ever. Next Tuesday is selling incredibly well too. But the motivation is get your tickets now. You will not get a seat. That's what people are having. And again, that's a testament to the show and to the performances and to the excitement, I think, that has been built since the beginning of the season to now.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's also, if you haven't been to the Turner Theater, it's amazing. Nothing like what it was before. I still am shocked every time I walk in there and remember what it looked like before.
Yeah, Jameson Hall. I remember experiencing that as well, and I'd like to forget it. But the Turner Theater makes everyone. It's such a huge attribute to the community, to the factory itself, and what's going on there. I've said this so many times. And the interesting thing about our shows, and specifically Jersey Boys plays all around the world in huge theaters. When it came through Nashville in the national tour, it played the Jackson, 2,500 seats. But in our theater, which is 319, there's an intimate feeling. So you feel like you're actually really involved and up close with these guys and this cast. And it's sort of an immersive feeling that you wouldn't get in one of the big houses that they normally do this show in. Which is, I guess, another part of the experience that's so special for the audience.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to say there's also no bad seats. So if anybody's thinking about, I can't get close, it doesn't matter because it's incredible.
Yeah, I agree. That the mezzanine that we've had put in when we constructed the theater was such a great attribute. And you're right, on the sides of the mezzanine, front of the mezzanine, you're still very involved and very close, So it's
to your point, much closer than you would be if you saw the show at TPAC. Even if you're on the lower level, those mezzanine seats are even closer than you would be at TPAC.
Yeah, no, it's that experience, and I think that's for all the shows. When we did Cabaret, we actually put Cabaret tables down, where those front seats were to create the atmosphere of the Kit Kat Club, which was another wonderful experience for the audience. And wait till you see Dracula. It's going to open our season next year. We're going to turn Turner Theater into a haunted house in October. That is the idea. Scary, bloody. But the Bram Stoker Dracula is coming to Franklin and coming to the Turner Theater.
Oh, I can't wait. We'll have to come back and chat about that. Hey, I wanted to give a shout out to Etch. They do have some themed drinks for Jersey Boys if you want to stop by before the show. They were really good. They understood that people were trying to get in and get out for the show because we stopped by there before we went to the show last week. It's amazing. So
yeah, all the restaurants we partnered with, it's such a great partnership on all levels, and all the restaurants and even the bar, Skylight Bar, know that 7:00 curtain, so they will accommodate you getting your dinner fast, getting your food fast, getting your check paid, and into the theater, which is great.
Which is great because now you have that option. Before you didn't have that. So this is also, I think, another plus. You don't have to figure out where to eat and how long it's going to take you to get from where you're eating to the theater. You're just a few steps away. You eat, you just walk a few steps, and it's all there.
Yep, exactly. It's, we've talked about that before. The consolidation of going to the factory, starting with free parking, even though it's hard to find a parking space. But, be careful what you wish for in terms of success. If you build it, they will come. And And Holiday Properties has done that. But again, it's all in one place. You go in, you have a drink at the Sky Bar, or White Alligator, or Two Hands, or Etch. Right. Then you have a great dinner, fine dining, or you can go to Hattie B's or Edley's, whatever you want. Then you go see a musical, top musical, Broadway quality, or a play, same thing. As I've said to you so many times, Donna, that doesn't exist. I've been all over the world with theater and so much in New York. To do that in New York, to have that experience, you have to go to Midtown Manhattan in the theater district, and you have to go to 3, 4, 5 different places before you walk into a Broadway theater.
Wow. All right. We'll put the link up for tickets. Don't forget, it's here until I'm looking
The 18th.
18th.
May 18th. And we
Yes.
have a show. We have 6 more shows this week, including 2 on Saturday, matinee and evening. And then we have a 1 o'clock matinee on Sunday. And then next week, again, Tuesday through Sunday, 7 o'clock, the evening shows, and matinee Saturday, 2 o'clock, matinee Sunday, 1 o'clock.
All right. Hey, it's always great to chat with you. You guys don't miss this show. It's so much fun.
Thank you, Donna. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
All right. See you guys.